Alright guys, this is Nicholas Thompson with Connect Solutions, and today I bring you a tutorial video on the Newer camera stabilizer. It's going to be very similar to the Glide Cam, Steadicam, and this is one of Newer's medium to medium high end range. This is the one with the carbon fiber graphite pole here assembly. The bottom's still going to be cast iron, and the top's going to be the same as all of them. This shaft being lighter is going to make it a lot easier when you're holding it for longer periods of time. So the system itself will include this base plate. It'll include 2 or 1 for each side, 210 gram weights, as well as 4 sets, or 2 per side, of the 100 grams. And again, the weight that you're going to use is going to be dependent on, first of all, the range, which you'll unscrew this a little bit to loosen it up, but the height adjustment of this, as well as the weight of the camera and lens assembly that you do put on top. So one of the first things here is we want to just make sure that the camera is going to be aligned with these. I mean, if it's angled a little bit, then it's going to be poorly balanced right off the bat. So we're going to loosen this up right here. This one right here is going to move this arm out. And then we will attach the base plate to the camera itself. One thing to make note is you're going to have this little notch in here that's going to allow the screws to come out. And then another thing to note is you're going to have somewhat of a rule guide here. It's best if you line it up on this side with the arrow, so that way for future reference you'll know roughly where to start your balancing. This is something that you're going to have to balance every time you put it on, whether it's just slight tweaks, and a quick release system will definitely make this a little bit easier of a task. So without further ado, the tools you're going to need are going to be a flathead screwdriver and an Allen pack, specifically a number 2 Allen wrench. That is going to allow you to tighten up the base down here, as well as move this hand assembly up and down. You're going to have 1 screw right here, and again, that's a number 2. So you'll loosen this up, you'll be able to go up and down as well. So I'm going to set that aside. You're going to need this flathead in order to put and mount the camera to the rail system. So for this, and with more use, you'll be able to know where to actually line this up on the camera. There's many different ways to do it. I just personally have it so that this 3 tick mark is just beyond here. Sometimes you will notice that it will need to come forward or back. But that's just so far what I've found to be the quickest and easiest way to go. Now that you have on it here, make sure it is nice and tight so that it's not going to move around. Then you slide these in the tracks, which is another reason why we slid this base plate out. So I'm just going to line this up. We'll start it at 0. So right here, the notch is at 0. Just going to start it there, and I'm just going to quickly show you how to balance. I found, and again you'll learn this with your own system, but roughly this is the range. If I go any farther down, any fast movements, and the camera just seems to go out of whack. And then any farther up, and the camera's going to outweigh the amount of weights that I have on here. And again, that's just something you're going to notice in time. But so in order to tweak this or fine tune it, again, I have it at 0 right now, but you're just going to let it go. And you can definitely tell right away it's leaning forward. So what we're going to do is bring this assembly back. So we're going to start moving it over here. So I'm thinking it's a pretty strong weight difference here. So I'm going to go all the way to notch number 1. And again, this is rough. That's roughly notch 1. So we'll find out now. It's actually pretty dead on. Leaning a little bit towards the right now though. So I'll show you this. See how she goes to the right. And again, battery, SD card. Make sure everything's in there right away. And even as the battery drains, it's going to get lighter, so it's going to start to shift to the left. So small tweaks are always going to be needed with a system like this. But I can tell right away that it's leaning to the right. So that's when you loosen up this notch on the left, or on the back of it. And ever so slightly just move it to the left a little bit. And this is where having this plate on the back side of the camera kind of gets in the way. Some of the more expensive systems have a better toolless design, but that's just where this one is. And somewhat straight, still going to the right. But as you can see, there is some slight difference between top and bottom. I haven't found a way to perfect that yet, but everything with these comes in time. So it's going to shimmy that to the left just a tad bit more and make sure that's locked down. Make sure it's tight, otherwise it's going to shift on you. And again, it's probably a little bit better. I think it's going to the left a little bit now. But and as you can tell, there's like a 2 to 3 second drop, they say. That's about right. And I know that. We'll be able to go all the way around. Probably could use more weights on the bottom. I just found that with more weights on the bottom in this particular setup and where this distance is, more weights on the bottom when I do anything like this. See how you can already tell the bottom isn't moving as much as the top. If there's more weights on the bottom, I find that the camera moves even more. And again, this is something that you'll find out just testing with it. But overall, I think that's pretty good. Now with this, I can go up, down, left, and right. And again, it's a little bit off, but every time is going to be minor tweaking. Now when you're walking with this, there's going to be a slight roll. And again, it's gravity, wind's going to come into play. But I found that just trying to walk forward towards what you're shooting, the camera kind of always hunts towards forward. So now right now, I'll walk this way a little bit and it's going to eventually go straight. I will do follow-up videos with more advanced hands-on on using this system. And then once I do pick up my 3-axis gimbal, I'll also do a comparison somewhat. But right now this is just a review on the Newer. So overall, so far, it's just like many other glide cams. Toolless design up here. Toolless design for the weights. Gotta remember that these screws will drop out though, so prop it up on your knee or something hard when you do loosen it up. And then always make sure when you tighten it back up that the weights are all the way out. You can put them closer in, but again, with weight balance type systems, you're trying to spread the weight out and keep it equal. So if you're trying to fit it anywhere in here, you better make sure it's the same on both sides, otherwise that's going to throw it off, especially in movement. And then the farther away from the center, you're going to get more leverage. The weight's going to act better the farther away. So the more expensive systems, you'll actually see a plate like this with an added plate on top that extends out even farther. If you do have those systems, I would again recommend putting it out. But this system in particular, that's just the way it goes. Now I do like this system. I like you're shedding some weight because of this shaft, which is why I went up to a higher version. I believe this one's rated up to 6 pounds. I believe it's about $80 on Amazon for this newer version. They do have steady cams, glide cams. I think the HD 200 is like $200-300, and they go all the way up to 800 or 1,000. Again, higher price. Normally you're gonna get capabilities for heavier cameras. I'd say this with the lens is about 2, maybe 3 pounds. This rig goes up to 6.5, so I'm easily within that. More expensive versions will have toolless. Most of them will have toolless on the handle where you can adjust it up and down. Where this, you're going to need that Allen, that number 2. And again, some plates and head assemblies up here are going to be a little easier to use. But you do get what you pay for. And like again, this covers the basics. Toolless on almost everything but the handle. I wish there was a quick release or some kind of way to keep an Allen, or that this would be toolless, but for $80 compared to the $200-300 for another similar, more premium design, sacrifices had to be made, and I'm willing to go with this one. I've used this for about a week now, and still getting to learn the whole system and everything else. But I can honestly say that, you know, with more premium designs, you are getting more premium materials, a little bit easier to use, but cost savings here, I mean, are pretty good for a basic system. It works just like the more expensive ones. There are some limitations on it, but with a camera this size, it's not going to come into play. Again, just that toolless on this handle would just be something I would like over what it is, but otherwise, I mean, this has been a fantastic system. I haven't really had any issues other than just operator error or tweaking with the system. I'll show a few clips in this video. I took it this weekend with me, go camping, and we walked down some trails and stuff like that. And it just does a fantastic job of, it did a fantastic job of making the camera look like it was just floating or gliding, which is where the glide cam name comes in. So overall, I really like it. Again, I have this set up. Right now I'd probably tweak it a little bit more, but you can loosen this up really quick. Again, make sure that this is also pointing with the camera. But if I completely collapse it like this, I have the handle set up so now the bottom will weigh more than the top, and now I can use this. I do find though that when it is down here, it does tend to angle down a little bit more. So when I do this, I do actually just loosen the weight up and move it back a little bit. And then when I want to go back up, all I got to do is loosen this up. Again, make sure it's angled roughly this. Slide that weight back, and now I'm good to go again right here. Does a decent job if you have a wide angle, if you're trying to capture yourself and or a kid or anything else. But normally I just use it to walk with somebody and just capture that footage like that. I mean, video captures motion. That's what it's there for. And the most cinematic and best video you can have captures motion in motion. So, I mean, if I were to stand still and take video of somebody walking towards me or to capture an event, I mean, it looks good. But then if I were to be able to hold this and walk with it and walk down the path with them, capture different angles while still recording during that, it makes the video look a lot better in the end. And with a significantly cheaper version like this, again, the shortfalls are easily manageable. So I would recommend this $80 one to anyone that's, you know, not recording to Hollywood or doesn't honestly just have the budget and want to spend the budget of $400 to $1,000 to get a better version. But I mean, this case is really nice. Just pretty much simple, basic. I mean, it's not premium, but it is nice to be able to just throw this in the case. There's slight padding on the sides, but a little bit on the bottom, so not so much so you're going to damage this unit, but just so this unit doesn't damage something else that you drop it on. And then again, to take the camera off, all you do is just loosen up this side. Ooh. And don't drop your camera. Then just slide it out. And then you can either take this off of here like this, or if you had some kind of quick release platform, the Glide, not the Glide, but the more track type, like Manfrotto's track, they're going to be a lot better. I have simple ones for tripods that are more square. Problem with those are the metal spring for them actually sits on top of this plate, so if I tighten it on, I can never either tighten it or get my camera back off. So for now I'm just taking this off, and again I just make a mental note that the 3 is at the edge of the camera, and then just from today's, roughly the 1 is where I need to be as far as the notch marks go. So I mean, it's really nice to put it back in the bag. You do have to collapse this. Just tighten that up so it does no damage. Slides back in the bag. Throw this in. Just make sure you don't lose that. I added weights in case I ever do need them in the field. And then I carry my flathead and my Allen packs right in this bag, so everything I need is in there with it. And I just bring this with me. But overall, I'd say 5 stars. I'd say 4.5. because of just the few things that would have been nice. As far as the quick connect, it'd be nice not to have to use an Allen, but I'd still give it a 5 because if that's the only thing that's keeping this away from the ones that cost 3 times as much, I know it's a number 2, I know I need to bring it with me. So, but very, very pleased. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free, leave them below in the comment section. And as I said, I will also include some footage of this weekend with the family. And then I will also be following this video up with more videos on using it, how to best use it, more out in the field type than talking to the camera like this. So again, stay tuned for that. Give this video a like if you like it. Feel free to hit subscribe if you want to continue to see videos like this. Hit that little notification button on there if you want to be notified right away when a new video does get put online.